All right, good morning or afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. Sean, the physical therapy application coach. I'm sharing with you today the Simplifying Supplemental Application Essays presentation from my previous webinar, that live webinar that I held for this. We were experiencing some audio issues, so I decided to just create a recording and put it on YouTube so you guys can enjoy the content. Apologize for the technical issues. So today you are a part of Physical Therapy Application Coach History. I'll be sharing with you some of the best kept secrets and hacks in the pre-PT industry regarding supplemental application essays. This is next level info, guys. This is going to help you save so much time, energy, effort, and I'm also going to share with you a new coaching product that we've rolled out. So a little bit more about me. First, let's start with this awesome picture up in the top right. This is my family, so older daughter Nora, younger daughter Lila, and my beautiful wife Tesley. As you can probably see, we live in the desert of Arizona. And I've been coaching applicants for almost 10 years. We have a 92% first-time acceptance rate for qualified applicants. We've, in the past 3 years, completed almost 900 application essay edits, and almost 300 mock interviews have been performed. And we have clients to nearly half of all the DPT programs in the country. Clients have been accepted to nearly half of those programs, I should say. And we're really proud of the growth that we've seen over these past few years. It's been fantastic. My alma mater for undergrad is Brigham Young University. And I went to Northern Arizona University at their Phoenix Biomedical campus. Graduated there with my DPT. And then I work for ATI Physical Therapy currently as a full-time physical therapist. These are some of the lists of programs that clients have been accepted to. So if you want to, I'm just going to kind of scroll through these slides and you can pause the video to find your favorite program or top choice program. So supplemental essays are very important because this is when a program gets the opportunity to ask you questions that are more specific to what they are looking for in the applicants that they're choosing for their program. It gives you the opportunity to then show how your skills, strengths, experiences, and attributes align with the program's mission and core values. So this is kind of when you're going to match your profile with the profile of the school. It's kind of that age-old sales tactic of like know your audience, know who you're selling to, and what are the things that matter the most to that program. Now, I'm going to share with you some of the most common supplemental essay prompts. In a few minutes, we'll talk more specifically about how to tackle each of these prompts individually. So, the most common prompts we see: why do you want to attend our program, or how will you contribute to our program? Questions about diversity, equity, and inclusion, or how you work with people who are different from you. Explain how you know that physical therapy is the career for you. This has some very similar echoes to what's included in the PTCast essay prompt. Next question is, or category I should say, is what is important for us to know about you? What makes you stand out? Why should we choose you? Questions about resilience, adversity, and or receiving constructive feedback. And as an added bonus, I'll also be going over today the COVID-19 essay, how to hack and attack that essay in particular. So now let's share how to hack and stack your supplemental essays. This is going to be such a huge time saver for you guys, and I'm extremely excited to be able to share this with you. So for those of you who may not recognize what this screenshot is, this is a screenshot of my personal PTCast dummy account that I keep open to help applicants as needed through the application cycle. And if you click on the Submit My Application tab at the top of the homepage, once you log in, it's going to take you to something that looks like this. And it's going to list all of the individual programs that you've selected. And then there's this green progress bar that you can see, and there's a grayed out check mark that you can also see. Once you fill that progress bar and there's a green check mark, that means you've completed your application in full, as well as any supplemental materials that are required for that program via PTCast. Then you can click submit and you can submit to that program. So, what is so important about this or significant? When you submit your application to a program, they do not see what you submit to other programs because it's your completed PTCAS application, and then slapped to the back of it are any supplemental questions that they have asked you to complete for their program in particular. But they don't get to see all of the questions or all of the essays that you've submitted to other programs. So this allows you, because many prompts between programs overlap, this allows you to hack or stack your essays so that after you write 2, 3, or 4 different essays, you can just reuse material from one supplemental to another. Now, with this being said, please don't reuse material from your PTCAS essay. That would be incredibly embarrassing. It's not good, okay? With that being said, if there's something that you briefly touch on in your PTCAS essay and then you go into more detail about it, that is completely fine. You are more than welcome to do that. But don't carbon copy stories from your PTCAS essay and put them into your supplemental essays, because guess what? They already are going to read your PTCAS essay, add new content to supplemental essays, but between program to program supplemental essays, you can feel free to reuse content as much as you would like to, as long as it fits with the prompt and it works with that essay. Guys, this is a game changer. As soon as I figured this out when I was working on supplementals when I was applying, it significantly cut down on the amount of time that I had to spend. During the actual live webinar event, we had an applicant who said she had 15 different supplemental essays that she had to complete. That is a very exhausting time and time-intensive task to complete. So hacking and stacking essays is totally and completely fine and encouraged. It's going to save you a lot of time, energy, and decrease your stress. Now, let's go back to this also. So we've got, I'll give you an example. Let's say that I have an essay for Angelo State University, and then I also have another essay that has a similar prompt for UNLV, University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Angelo State's essay is, let's say, 4,500 characters, and UNLV's is 3,000 characters, but they're similar prompts. So I can either decide, doesn't matter which one, maybe I want to write the shorter one first, so that one won't take as long, and I write UNLV's first, or maybe I do it because their deadline's earlier, and I write UNLV's first, but I can copy the information from this essay with UNLV and put it into my Angelo State University essay. As long as it's appropriate and it fits with the prompt, you can hack and stack and reuse that material. When it comes to what raw materials make up great essays, the things that we're going to want to focus on, by and large, are stories that showcase your personal strengths, attributes, attitudes as an applicant. You also want to focus on new experiences and strengths that may be different from your PTCAS essay. This doesn't mean that we're going to not share things that may be included in your PTCAS essay, but we don't want to just say the same thing over and over again. What new strengths can we bring in? What different experiences can we bring in? Make sure that we're giving the program that's looking at you the best chance to get to know who you are as a person in a well-rounded way. This may include you having to be more authentic or more vulnerable in your storytelling. You may have to talk about what happened to you, how you felt about it, what you learned from it, and make sure to use imagery and emotion, as these are things as human beings that we really connect with and details that stick with us as we listen to and hear stories. Sometimes prompts, though, just don't make sense to write a story about. So you should always try to write using stories when it makes sense, but sometimes there's essay prompts that come up like, why do you want to come to this program? You may have a story that you want to share about that experience or about that prompt, but for the most part, it's going to be a fairly objective essay that doesn't have a lot of storytelling to it. In general, though, try to do the best that you can to share stories in your supplemental essays. It will make them much more memorable, especially if they're longer essays. Make sure that you're using stories to help spice up and keep the content relevant and interesting. And that will help your essays be much more successful than just providing a commentary or speaking generally about these things. What do you have to offer as an applicant? I know from experience myself that there are many applicants who feel like they don't have anything that's unique or special about them. And so they have a hard time talking about themselves and what makes them a worthwhile candidate for a program. I'm here to tell you that after coaching for almost 10 years, no two applicants are exactly the same. You could even have a set of twins that have vastly different life experiences, even if they both want to go into physical therapy. They went to the same undergrad, they had the same group of friends. There are different experiences that people have. As a result of that, your experiences, your strengths, your attributes, your attitudes, your perspectives, these are the things that you're going to share. It's the only thing that is uniquely yours is your life experience. And if you aren't willing to capitalize on that, you are missing out on taking advantage of your biggest asset when telling your story and helping people realize what's unique about you. So please trust me when I say you are unique. You have something special to bring to the table because of your life experiences, the things that you've seen, the things that you've done. This is what you want to share. With that being said, we want to make sure that we stay within the bounds of the essay. And this is what I recommend doing is using the character count method. The character count method is very simple. It gives you a breakdown of each of your essays based on, okay, what's the overall character count of this essay? And what are the key areas of content that I wish to share in that essay? Once you have those pieces of information, then you can start to mathematically break down, this is how many characters I want to devote to this section versus this section. And then you just continue the cycle from there. So here's an example from a PTCAS essay, right? So this is our most popular formula that we use to help applicants write material that is interesting, relevant, and sticks with the reader. You're going to write an origin story of around 1,000 to 1,200 characters, and then provide a recap or a summary of that story that's 500 to 800 characters. Then you're going to add a patient interaction story, which is about 1,000 to 1,200 characters, and then a recap of that story that is 500 to 800 characters with a conclusion that's around 1,000 to 1,200 characters, just to tie everything together. This is an example of how to use the character count method to help guide and structure your essay and the things that you're going to include. I'm going to provide you an example of how to do this more specifically with a supplemental essay that has a different character allotment than the 4,500 characters of a PTCAS essay. So now that we've gone through the character count method, what are the important things to include in our essays? We're going to go through each of those most popular prompts and give you a breakdown side by side of what are the general things you should include or how should you go about brainstorming and approaching this prompt. The first one we're going to start with is, why do you want to attend our program? Number one thing you got to do is do your homework, okay? We need to go beyond the generic things of, oh, I want to go to this program because it's close to my house and it's cheap. Those things are very important when selecting a program. As you know, I've harped on that time and time again about what things you need to look for when selecting a DPT program. But at the same time, you need to go deeper than that and do your homework. Really research this program. What unique opportunities does this university provide you? You could look at the curriculum, clinical rotations, humanitarian trips, pro bono clinics, research opportunities, if they have any residency or specialty programs. These are all things that you could look for. Anything that's unique that program gives you, novel experiences to help you be a better clinician in the future, those are things that you want to look at. Or if you're not interested in clinical work, if you're more interested in research, then what research opportunities are you going to look for? All right? These are the things that you need to do your homework about and to make sure that you have a firm grasp of what is special about that program. Then you want to go and to match and say, okay, this program has this opportunity for me, and this is why it's important to me. Or you could show in your life, let's say it's a humanitarian aid trip that they have. You could talk about a humanitarian aid trip that you've been on in the past and how that was something that was really meaningful for you and helped you realize how much you want to give back to other people. Different things like that, as far as that's concerned. Again, going back to, you want to match your profile as an applicant with the profile of the program. Doing your homework also means going and looking at what is the program's mission and values. What are those things that they want to share, that they feel like they want their students to embody? And then you can include those mission and value key phrases or buzzwords in your essay. That's going to help them know that you've done your homework, that you've really listened, that you understand what the program's about and the opportunities that the program has to provide. The easiest way to do this is, after you do your research, you may be kind of overwhelmed with all the different areas. What I would do then is I would itemize each of the items that you've researched, and then from there, I would rank them in terms of the most important things, and then decide which ones you really want to talk about versus stuff that you're like, maybe this isn't as important, and then allocate how many characters you're going to spend talking about each of those talking points. All right, the next prompt that we're going to focus on are those related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. These are extremely popular, very arguably, besides why do you want to come to our program, probably the most popular theme or topic of supplemental essay prompts. So when you're looking at answering these questions, you want to focus on experiences or stories that you have that showcase your strengths working with people from diverse backgrounds. You want to share stories of how you've worked with these populations instead of telling how you would do it, right? Please, please, please don't be like so many other applicants who just talk about what they would do when working with these populations, and instead talk about what you have done or experiences that are similar or other ways that you've worked with underserved or underrepresented individuals, okay? With this being said, with this prompt, there have been questions that people have had in the past where sometimes they bring up charged political views in this essay or in any type of application essay in general, right? My job as a coach is to protect you as an applicant, to make sure that you're putting the best information on your application and avoiding putting content on there that could harm you potentially. Regardless of what side of the political spectrum that you are on, I recommend that you keep your personal political beliefs objective if you are going to write about them. Please don't use your essays as a platform to complain and to be upset about things that you do not like in the world. If you're going to talk about problems that you see, you should talk about them objectively and focus on solutions that you actually can implement on your own, or things that you can do to try to help contribute. Okay? Now, let me give you an example of something I would talk about in this type of an essay. One of the essays I had was about this, explain to me how you've worked with people from diverse backgrounds, okay? So I shared a story when I was a tech of someone who did not speak English, and they had one of their kids come in and work as a translator. This individual had not been very compliant with therapy up until this point, and they kind of had a bad reputation. And before, I had never worked with them in the past. So I tried to leave those biases aside, and then when I came in, I just started talking to the patient and his daughter, and I didn't speak the language that they spoke, but I was just talking to them in English, and I found out that this older gentleman, he spoke a lot more English than he had let on, and we were able to get some concerns and some questions answered, and I was able to relay those to his primary therapist, right? So that's an underrepresented population that, maybe English wasn't his native tongue, but he didn't feel comfortable communicating because he didn't feel like anyone cared about him. That's an example, right? So look at stories that you have as a tech. Maybe it's service opportunities that you have. Maybe you went on a humanitarian aid trip. Like whatever it is that you've done where you've worked with people who are different from you, have different beliefs than you. Maybe they're from a different socioeconomic status. Whatever the differences are, again, you're going to look at making an inventory of those experiences, ranking your top ones, the ones that you feel like are the best or that showcase your strengths the most, and focus on what you did to make a positive impact on the lives of these people. And then use the character count method and allocate how many characters you're going to spend on each of those experiences. Another prompt we have is, how do you know that PT is the right career for you? So when we're looking at answering this prompt, we're going to look at itemizing. Again, just create an itemized list of the different experiences you have where you have determined and you've done your due diligence to decide that physical therapy is what you want to do for the rest of your career or for your career, right? So this could include observation hours, patient interaction experiences, maybe your pre-PT club, online research, maybe you've interviewed PTs from different specialties within the profession. Maybe you've gone to conferences or like ACSM or different things like that. Whatever it is that you've done where you have been able to discover that this is really what you want to do, those are the experiences you want to showcase. And then you're going to itemize them. You'll rank the ones that you feel like are the strongest or the best experiences. Put those at the top. Decide how many characters you're going to allocate. Pretty straightforward. Go back to the character count method. The questions or prompts, why should we choose you, or what makes you stand out? These can make applicants feel uncomfortable because it's difficult for us to talk about ourselves, and a lot of times applicants feel like they're almost trying to, talk down or stiff arm other applicants. But I'm going to give you a way to be able to write this essay guilt-free and to not feel like you're stepping on other people's toes or that you're being a cocky or conceited jerk. So, what have you not talked about thus far in your application that's awesome about you? If you have any cards that you've been holding in your hand, it's time to get everything out on the table. Identify areas of your application that you haven't already shared and try to give something new or novel to this program when they ask those type of questions. Again, your life experiences and your personal strengths and attributes are all that are uniquely yours. So showcase those. Itemize the experiences you have. What strengths, what opportunities have you taken advantage of? How can we share that in a clear and concise way? Again, this itemization could also include what other essays have I written? What other experiences have I shared that I could reuse and that I could put into this essay? It's not about talking down about others. It's about trying to talk about what are the greatest selling points I have as an applicant that's going to make someone want to choose me over someone else. That's what this is all about. Sharing experiences where you've had to demonstrate resilience, adversity, or respond to constructive feedback are also very common questions that programs ask you about. Why do you think it is that they might ask you about these things? Because guess what? Being resilient, overcoming adversity, and taking constructive feedback, these are the basic things that are required to be a functioning adult. Let's be honest about it, right? And especially to be someone who is stepping into a profession where you have to help other people learn how to overcome adversity and to be resilient, right? So these experiences are very important, and they're a little bit more straightforward because you can pretty quickly identify what are some of the most challenging times in my life. When did I get some feedback from someone that maybe was a little bit difficult to take at first, but in the end, it was something I knew I needed to hear? Focus on stories or experiences that showcase your strengths, okay? So even if you did something wrong, your ability to be humble and to apply the feedback or to learn from an experience shows a lot about you. No one is expecting you in this life as a physical therapist or in any other aspect of your life to be completely perfect all the time. We're constantly learning, we're making mistakes, and we're trying to get better. So it's okay to be vulnerable and to share these experiences. You want to focus on being a victor and not a victim. So a lot of times when people talk about adversity or constructive feedback, they kind of do so in a backhanded way. I would recommend that you just speak objectively about what happened to you and then share what you did to respond. The majority of your response should be about how you responded and overcame the obstacles that were placed in front of you. It should not be about, you should quickly and go over in an objective way what happened to you, and then focus the majority of your response of the essay on your response. So I'd probably say that's about a 30% what happened, 70% what you did to respond. And that could obviously vary a little bit, but if you're going to use the character count method, again, you go back, you itemize a list of experiences, You see which ones rank up at the top, and then from there, you're going to decide how much you're going to spend talking about each of these experiences. What happened and how did I respond? I told you all that I would share a bonus about the COVID-19 essay. So, writing this essay, it's going to be very similar to the resilience, adversity, and constructive feedback essay. Okay? You're going to write objectively about what happened to you and then share what you did to respond. Again, just reiterating all this, you're going to make an itemized list to help keep you focused. This is what happened to me academically, personally, financially, whatever. All those different areas that they list in the prompt, you can list and itemize everything out there. You want to focus on being a victor, not a victim. So roughly, again, spend, 30 to 40% of your character amount on describing what happened to you, and then spend 60 to 70% of the remaining characters sharing what you did to respond and how you overcame those obstacles. That's the COVID-19 essay. It doesn't need to be more complicated than that. And again, some people, they feel like, well, you know what, maybe COVID didn't impact me too much. Either way, if you were inconvenienced at all, I feel like most students adjusting to online learning and having to deal with professors who were adjusting to online learning was a very difficult thing. So you can feel free to include that. On the same side, there's other people who had very difficult circumstances where they lost family members. They lost housing, they lost a job. All of these really challenging things. You absolutely want to convey those things. But again, focus on being a victor, not a victim. And what you did to respond, the things you learned from it, all those type of details. That's going to help you have a COVID-19 essay that is going to help your application instead of just making you sound like a whiner or a victim. So here's an example. I can kind of show you how I put it all together in this sense using itemization and the character count method for a diversity, equity, and inclusion essay. Okay, so let's say I've identified a few different stories that I would like to share. Maybe I did a study abroad or a mission trip. And then I also helped with volunteering and doing a homeless drive, a shoe drive for homeless people and a diabetic foot screening, which is something I actually did in PT school. So what I would do is I would spend roughly 1,000 characters on the study abroad, telling the story. What did I do? What did I learn? What did I experience? And then the recap is going to be the strengths that you demonstrated, what you learned, and how it helped you become a great PT. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing with the homeless shoe drive or the diabetic foot screening. And then I'll do a recap of that story to focus on these are the strengths I demonstrated, what I learned, the insight, the perspective I gained, and then I'll have a 900 character conclusion to tie it all together. Now, this is not a hard and fast formula, and this is where applicants can have a hard time with the character count method. Is like, well, how much do I actually want to devote to this? Stories, you're going to need to devote more characters to because you just have more details you need to explain. If you're kind of providing an analysis or a synthesis of why you told them that story, you don't need to have as many characters. And that's a pretty straightforward and easy way to look at it. Is spend your characters on the stuff that you need to share more details, and again, focus on the strengths and what you did in the experiences. You want to have more content about that, and then you can be more concise and short with the content that explains why you shared the story or what you learned from that experience, different things like that. We've covered a lot of different material. You might be feeling overwhelmed, in one ear, out the other. Now it's time to share with you the Supplemental Essay Coaching exclusive offer. So this package comes with 2 1-hour coaching sessions that give you maximum flexibility to help you get exactly what you need as an applicant, whether that's brainstorming, structure and direction, edit an already completed essay that you're not sure about, learn how to hack and stack your essay content, make sure that you write the content that matters the most while staying within the character count. That is who this product is for. If you feel like you're falling into any of those categories, you definitely should consider looking into this package. It's also for you if you may feel you're not as confident in your writing abilities. You're stuck writing your supplemental essays. You're unsure about what sets you apart as an applicant. You have rewritten your essay so many times that your head is spinning. You are relying on your essays making up holes in your application, and you need to make sure they are the best they can possibly be. You're looking for reassurance that your essay is what PT schools want. Check. We can definitely provide you with that. And you want that stamp of approval from a PT school essay expert. Okay? And your supplemental essays are all that stands between you and your submission. You're ready to get the application monkey off of your back, and you're looking to get discounts on future coaching packages like my interview coaching in the future. If you said yes or that applies to you at all, you absolutely should look into this coaching package. But let's look at some additional value, okay? In terms of reapplying, if you apply to 10 programs and then you don't get in this cycle and you have to reapply next cycle because you didn't work with us, that's $700 that you're going to have to fork out again, and that doesn't even include supplemental applications. You're going to be 1 year closer to that $60,000 to $90,000 starting DPT salary. You're going to maximize and control more of your time and be able to spend it on things that you really want to focus on. And moving forward in your career by getting ready to go to the next step of your education will help you move forward with your life, whether that's marriage, having kids, getting a new home or a new car, traveling the world, pursuing financial freedom, whatever it is that makes you tick. Getting into PT school is going to get you there that much faster. And if you work with us, you can get there sooner. In addition to that, you're going to have the feelings of feeling like a winner, being satisfied that you've achieved your goals, silencing your doubts and your doubters, securing your future, having a sense of belonging, and being respected and admired, and accepted. So, here are your coaching options. There is a one-time payment of $200 or $50 monthly installment payments over 4 months. There is a 30-day money-back guarantee if you are not satisfied, and there's only 10 slots available. There's also a significant discount on additional coaching sessions that you can have access to, whether that's with more supplemental essays or with getting discounts on interview coaching in the future. If you have any questions about any of the details of this package, you can feel free to email me at the email below. I'll also include it in the link down below, and I'll include the link to the coaching package that we've talked about down there as well. Thanks so much, guys. I really hope to work with many of you. If you've enjoyed this video, if you've enjoyed this webinar, make sure to like, subscribe, and subscribe to my bi-monthly newsletter. And it's absolutely free. You'll be able to get access to the content, learn about upcoming webinars we've had. Hopefully all the audio issues will get fixed by the time we have our webinars coming up soon. But you definitely are going to want to stay tuned and like and subscribe to my YouTube channel as well, so you can be notified when I post and drop new content. Thanks, and I look forward to working with many of you in the future. Take care. Bye-bye.